Crown Jewel was an awesome PLE. Overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. It was a super fun event. The only thing I did not like about it was the start time, because it started at 7 a.m. for me, which made for a super early morning, but we got through it. So let's go through the lineup and how the matches went and what happened. We started off with Roman and Bronson, which was a really good match, actually. You could tell Roman had so much fun in this match. He got the weapons out because it was an Australian street fight. So there was the trash can full of weapons. Australian weapons, as a matter of fact. So he pulled out like these rugby balls, I think. I don't know what they are, but they were like football shaped. A quarterback Roman was not. He threw a few of them. He even threw one directly into the ropes of the ring, which was entertaining. But he had fun. He even grabbed the mic mid-match, told the crowd that if they wanted tables, to acknowledge him. I was kind of shocked that Bronson didn't get a whole lot of love from Australia, his home country, but he was against Roman Reigns, so of course the crowd is probably going to be more for Roman Reigns than they are for Bronson Reed, and Roman is the face in that, but I thought he'd get a little bit more love, but that's okay. And of course it wouldn't be a Bronson Reed match or anything to do with the Vision if Braun Breaker didn't show up. So of course, when Roman was running around the ring to get to Bronson, Braun Breaker came out of nowhere with the spear, and then the Usos came out to help Roman, even though he said not to. They did. They came out to help him, and that caused Jay to accidentally spear Roman through the table that Bronson Reed set up for him. Bronson capitalized on that moment, drug Roman over, delivered a tsunami, and inevitably got the pin and won it over Roman. And then that caused some family drama. Roman's telling the Usos that he loves them and he gets why they did it, but he said not to. The world thinks he can't do it on his own, which, fair, you know, from history. He always had his family to back him up, so I get it from that perspective. But Roman said that he doesn't want to see them till Christmas, so there's that. And I can't tell if Jay's going to turn heel. He's definitely getting more aggressive and he's kind of getting over people's crap, but I can't tell if he's going to turn heel. I kind of hope he does. I don't know how they're gonna do that, gonna work with that with Jay, because you got to think of like the yeet, you got to think of his entrances, you got to think of his run it back, like very babyface things to do. So I don't know. I just kind of want a heel turn from Jay, personally. And then we had Stephanie versus Tiffany, which honestly, not a lot to write home about. It was great wrestling. It was a good match. It was just champ versus champ, no real story behind it other than this has to happen for us to determine, I guess, who's the best between us, who gets the ring and the crown jewel belt. Not much to say. It was just a good match. Both ladies did amazing. They both looked good. We got a devil's kiss super early on in the match. And yeah, it was just good wrestling. No deep story, no deep rivalry, just wrestling. Wrestling for a championship belt. That, granted, means nothing, but it meant a lot to Stephanie in that moment, and I feel like we are getting a huge Stephanie push. Usually, I'm kind of against it, especially someone so new to the company, but honestly, I mean, if you're going to do it with anyone, Stephanie's a good choice, because the moment she came into the WWE, she was already up here with the top performers. So she just kind of fit right in immediately, and it does make sense for her to have a belt. So I ain't totally mad at it. It does feel like we're getting a huge Stephanie push, but I'm also biased against Tiffany because I'm kind of over the Tiffany Stratton reign. And yeah, it's just good wrestling, honestly. And then the match of the night, the match of the year, maybe even the century. I'm not sure, but we had AJ Styles versus John Cena. Now, I will be the first to admit, I did not understand every single reference that was made. It was a match of tributes, of finishers to, I think, both of their former rivals. And it was just a beautiful match start to finish. I mean, in the opening, when Alicia was announcing them, John Cena had this note for her to read for AJ, and it was just beautiful. You could tell that AJ did not know it was going to happen, or at least it appeared he did not know that was going to happen or what was going to be said. The Bullet Club was referenced, and that kind of shocked him. I just thought that was really cool of John to do, because I mean, this is John Cena's farewell tour, right? He could make it all about himself, but he he chose to bring AJ in on that moment and make it really a moment of those two. It was just beautiful. Like, he didn't have to do that, and he did. And I think that was a really special moment for AJ. And the whole match just was absolutely beautiful. I wrote down all of the finishers that they used. You might know the reference. I will say this match was probably way more exciting and nostalgic and beautiful to those of you who understood all the references, because it was beautiful to me and I didn't. So I can only imagine actually knowing what was going on, just how awesome it truly was. But here is the list of all of the finishers that they used, whose finisher it was, and who did it. There's a lot. It started with an attitude adjustment, which is John's finisher. He started that with AJ. It went into the skull crushing finale, which is the Miz's finisher. And then the accolade, which is Rusev. Walls of Jericho, I can't remember who did that one. I think AJ did that one. I don't remember that move. But obviously Chris Jericho. And then, forgive me on this one because I will pronounce it wrong, but the Coquina Clutch, Samoa Joe. AJ Styles delivered that one. And then probably the most beautiful one was Sister Abigail. That one, I do understand the reference, even though I am so sad that I missed all of Bray's run. But it was such a beautiful moment. I guess he caught AJ in the same way that Bray caught him, I think. It just, how he did it, it was exactly what happened before when Bray delivered it. He even did the kiss on the forehead and then delivered it and looked up and like had a look on his face, and then the crowd even got their flashlights out to have the fireflies. It was just a beautiful moment. Then we had Angel's Wings, which is Christopher Daniels. And then we had the pedigree countered into a Deadeye. And I think the Deadeye move is what I called the Australian Tombstone. But Triple H with the pedigree and Adam Hangman Page with the Deadeye. RKO and punt, which the punt did not get executed, but he tried. And then if you want to toss in vintage there, which is the draping DDT, and those are Randy Orton. Then we had a choke slam, and they said that might have been a tribute to the Big Show or the Undertaker, but they think the Big Show because of what happened later on in the match. So either or, not sure. I don't know if John Cena had a rivalry or some kind of match with the Big Show. You might have to let me know. But John did deliver that one. And then the 619, almost. It got set up, but it did not get executed. I don't know if we'll ever see John Cena do the 619. But yeah, it got set up. It got teased, but it did not go through, unfortunately. And then AJ hit a fade to black, which is Frankie Kazarian. And a springboard 450, which is his own. And then a sweet chin music, which I will say TikTok kind of was baffled and gave me a lot of grief for not knowing what that was when he started stomping, which I just want to remind everybody that I started watching in January of 2023. I did not start watching in 1995 or whenever. So to me, that move is called a super kick that the Usos deliver a lot. But I did understand once he hit it, like I do know that Shawn Michaels did that move and that was his finisher. I'm just not as familiar with it. So I apologize that I didn't know what that was. But I did once it was delivered, to be fair. And then AJ delivered Styles Clash, which is his own. And then John delivered the Tombstone, which is the Undertaker. And he bookended it with another attitude adjustment. So it was beautiful. It was a well-executed, well-thought-out match. And both of the guys did wonderful. I enjoyed every second of it. And I can only imagine if you understood it all, you enjoyed it even more. And then following that match was the tag match, which was probably the most underwhelming match of the night. It was just very underwhelming for being a Rhea match in Australia, in her home country. And I feel like a lot of the focus was on Io between those two, because the story does revolve around Io and the Kabuki Warriors. So in that sense, I get it. It just felt, I don't know. There was something off about it, which of course it did follow AJ and John Cena. Like, that's a tough act to follow, which I believe that should have been the main event. But that's neither here nor there. But even then, like, I try not to look at it that way because, yeah, it is hard to follow a match like that. But the tag match itself, there was just something off about it for me. It was a good match. It was good. Maybe it's just because not that I don't care about the story, but I don't, if that makes sense. Like, I do, I like the Kabuki Warriors. I like the Asuka heel turn. She is very dominant. She is, I don't want to say abusive, but you know, she's domineering over Kairi, kind of controlling Kairi. And then Io and Rhea are just taking them out because they turned on Io, and Io says, screw you guys, yada yada yada. So I do like that, but I don't know, there's just something about it that just didn't quite hit for me. It was still a good match. It just felt, like I said, underwhelming for it being in Rhea's home country. Io even got the pin, which again, story-wise makes sense. You would just think, I don't know. But they did the Raw after, I keep wanting to say Clash at Paris. Crown Jewel was also in Perth, and Rhea got her match with Kairi and got the win on that. So she got the pop for that. It's just, yeah, this tag match, it just felt very Io-centric, Kabuki Warrior-centric, but story-wise, it does kind of make sense. And then for the main event, we had Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, which Seth against Cody was 0-3, so he really needed this win, which he eventually got. But it was a good match. Cody Rhodes' crossroads off the top rope was really insane. I don't think I've ever seen him do that off the top rope, so that was pretty cool. And Seth also did a stomp off the top rope, or something stomp-like off the top rope. But overall, it was a good match. Seth ended up using that watch, punching Cody in the face, and getting the win that way. So technically, he did it by himself, but he didn't do it cleanly, which makes sense and is a better win than winning cleanly, I think, when he's as a heel or whatever. But I like the watch part of this, because I'm pretty sure the watch started on Cody Rhodes' podcast, and they incorporated it into the story. Or vice versa, they knew they wanted it part of the story, so they talked about it, but it seemed more organic on the podcast, and they just kind of brought it in. And I think it gives it a nice touch, and it was definitely just a nice little prop for Seth to use. It's almost like brass knuckles at that point, but it's a little more personal, because Cody Rhodes did gift Seth that watch, and it came back to bite him in the butt. And Seth was supposed to get, like, but keep the respect of his faction, so they know that he beat Cody Rhodes and they can take him seriously, and we were supposed to be able to take the Vision seriously. But if you watched Raw today, this Monday, October 13th, that kind of went down the drain. Braun speared Seth. Bronson sided with Braun, and so did Paul Heyman. So it appears that Seth is out of the Vision. Don't know if he's turning babyface. Don't know if it's a ruse, some kind of trick. We all remember his knee injury. And then there's rumors about him actually being injured. I don't know. I have no idea what's real anymore. I thought that was really soon for them to turn on him. I assumed it was going to happen eventually. But now, when it was finally like kind of building and getting interesting, and I don't know. I have no idea how to take that. But yeah, that happened on Raw. So from here, I have no idea where we're going to go. But Crown Jewel was an awesome PLE. I enjoyed it a lot. I would love to know what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you see is going to happen for the future with the Vision. I don't know. Let me know down below. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.